From a textile trading company 4 decades ago, Reliance has emerged as a large, multi-product company with interests across the energy and material value chain. It has committed to investing around $15 billion in the petrochemical value chain in India. The title of this presentation is The Evolution and Growth of Reliance, Full Integration Along the Materials and Energy Value Chain. Please welcome Mr. Nikhil Meswani. He is Executive Director at Reliance Industries. He is also a member of the Managing Committee of the Federation of Indian Export Organizations set up by the Ministry of Commerce. Mr. Nikhil Meswani.
Thank you, Nadine. Very good afternoon to all of you. His Highness, Your Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you warm greetings from India as I take this opportunity. I must at the outset thank GPCA for becoming a pivotal conference and a hub of petrochemicals globally, and in particular, Mr. Mohammed Al-Mahdi at SABEC, without whom I would not have got this opportunity. Thank you very much. I deeply appreciate you sharing strategy and your talks in the morning, because that will be the theme of my presentation in some source. Middle East is a region buzzing with feedstocks, whether liquid or gas does not matter. And as we have always learned in chemistry, it is the feedstock that always make money. With that, I would like to cover in this presentation 3 interesting parts. First, India and why it is at an inflection point. Secondly, about our company Reliance, and conclude finally with a few interesting thoughts. All of us know that India is the largest democracy in the world. We have over 800 million voters, with 125 million of them voting the first time in the last elections earlier this year. We believe that India, as a colony of the British, is a testimony of the legal regime that they left us and a signatory to the intellectual property rights. Above all, India is now reducing the regulatory hurdles to growth. We are a diverse country as a second D, and I did not mention that just like Andrew Liveris mentioned earlier, I have 4 Ds to mention about India. So the second one is diversity. We speak 22 official languages, as you can see from our currency notes, 7 major religions, and an important example that I would like to give, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was a Sikh president in an economy in a country like India, which is predominantly Hindu, sworn in by a Muslim prime minister and head of a party which is predominantly Christian. That is the diversity of our country, friends. And we believe we have vast varieties of food, culture, and if you want to celebrate a festival, you can celebrate one every day in 365 days. With that, if you look at our biggest challenge, if you look at our biggest idea, our demographics, 65% of India is below the age of 35, and nearly half our population will be below 25 until 2025. We will therefore have a growing middle class, 5.5 million young graduates who want to work hard and prove themselves hard, exactly in line with what Mr. Al-Fali mentioned earlier today, saying this generation will be baby boomers generation who are fortunately born at the right time, at the right place, with a mobile phone in one hand and a baby bottle in the other. However, English is the most commonly spoken language in India, and the biggest point that I would like to say as part of our demographic dividend is that India will emerge as a talent supplier to the world, as a testimony to our education institutions, and therefore, in contrast to other Eastern economies, India will become richer before it becomes older. We had a historic mandate, and we have a decisive government in a democratic environment now in power after over 20 years. This government is focused on manufacturing, development of infrastructure, and creation of nearly 10 million jobs per year, which lies at the heart of our transformation, and which is why I say India has emerged. Our Prime Minister has spoken about digital India on the back of the broadband infrastructure which is being created in the country. And he's spoken about clean India, not only for better hygiene and sanitation and better quality of life to Indians, but also to encourage businesses of water, food, recycling, which are our new challenges also in the chemical industry. With that, I would like to turn to Reliance. As a testimony to our founder chairman, Shri Dhirubhai Ambani, I thought about everybody can read about Reliance on the web. But I would like to share with you, which are mentioned at the top of each slide, some of his core principles which made Reliance what it is today. First one, over the 37 years that we have now been a public company, we were founded by Mr. Ambani, who was the son of a school teacher, who used to work in Yemen and returned to India with his meager savings to bet on people and resources of India. In that sense, Reliance has a deep connection to this part of the world. Over the 36.5 years that we have now been a public company, we have grown from nowhere, not even amongst the top 100 companies in India, to grow compounded 23% in assets, nearly 20% in revenues, and over 26% in market cap. With an average life of S&P companies today at 37 years, we are conscious that we stand at that threshold and bring to you this organic growth story, which is enunciated in his quote, "Growth is life." There are very few global companies in the non-IT industry who have been able to continue to perform this, but we believe it has been a testimony to our country, India. In the 70s, Reliance was importing textiles and soon started manufacturing textiles, went back to integrate and brought our entry into polyester, then on to aromatics, plastics, and refining. Last decade, we have focused, apart from these industries, also on oil and gas and several retail and other infrastructure services. If you look at this, we were never present in any of the businesses that we started. However, it was one big idea that doubled the size of the company every 4 years as we embarked on this journey of organic growth creation. 95% of our assets are organically created, and in each of these lines of business, we have carved ourselves not only to be on the topmost place in India, but amongst our leaders in the world. And we bring this as part of national priorities, and that is enunciated in what is good for India is good for Reliance, and in his quote that growth has no limit at Reliance as we keep on revising our vision. If you look at the tenets of this value creation journey, at the heart of this lie 3 core principles: vertical integration, creating scale capacities, which is more familiar to this part of the world than our part of the world, making sure that we leverage our strengths to bring low-cost infrastructure across the country and play across the value chain. We are an extremely conservative financial company with high emphasis on health, safety, and environment, being compliant to the Western standards amongst the few in India, and above all, a testimony to the young people of India. The Dhirubhai uncle used to say, give the youth a proper environment. Give them the encouragement that they need. Each one of them has infinite source of energy. They will always deliver. Our testimony of 37 years is a function of what the young people of India have delivered over this lifetime. If you look at this value creation, it is based on 4 simple pillars. First one, look at one big idea and create global scale capacity. Pray across the value chain, for example, from fabrics to polyester to PTA and paraxylene, back to naphtha and refining, so that one pocket or the other will always make money as we ride a cyclical industry. And on the other side, invest strongly in applied research focused on the Indian market and make sure we are compliant with the global standards. In that, I would like to very clearly say that we have created over this period 5 main businesses over 2 chains: a hydrocarbon chain, which plays in upstream oil and gas, refining, and chemicals, and a consumer chain that has started with retail, and we are at the threshold of building India's largest 4th-generation broadband data network. 90% of our revenues come from our refining and our petrochemical business. In each of them, we have leading positions in the world, and we believe that the advantage of integrating with the retail chain allows us to hear the voice of our consumers. So in that sense, Reliance is a testimony of a vertical and a horizontal integration with our eyes and feet and our ears close to the ground, but at the same time, our head held high to go forward with taking advantage of the opportunity called India. If you look at petrochemical industry, we always ride the cycles, and we have been fortunate to look at each of these adversities to pursue our goals and double our sizes in terms of investing at the bottom of the cycle and making sure that those returns came back to us in one way or the other as we rode those cycles in more fortunate times. Where are we today will be your simple answer. And where we are today is that over the 37 years, whatever we have achieved, we are reinvesting in India nearly $25 billion, nearly 15 of them in petrochemical industry, not only consolidating our positions across the ethylene and the aromatics and polyester chain, but creating 2 new business platforms in synthetic rubbers and in the in acetyls business, both fundamentally dependent on the fact that India will double its GDP in 5 to 7 years and triple it over the next 12 to 14 years, which is the vision of our Prime Minister. In addition, we believe that whatever we are doing today is equal to whatever we have done over the past 35 years of our history, which means we are investing as much money as we have invested in these 3 years as we have invested in the past 35 years as we double and set our eyes to reach the coveted $100 billion mark as an industry. With that, I would like to briefly tell you about the contribution of Reliance to India. Reliance today constitutes just under 3% of India's GDP, 15% of India's exports, 53% of our revenue comes from export to 140 countries with physical presence in 50 of them. We're 4% of India's market cap and nearly 8% of India's tax collections. However, we're 2 notches above the sovereign rating with a 100-year bond, which will be amongst the few feathers that we have enjoyed. I believe that puts us as a threshold to capitalize on higher opportunities as India moves forward. In a sustainable world of today, Reliance recycles nearly 1.5 billion bottles of PET, providing and integrating 1.5 million Indians to make sure that we sustain the mission of recycling of plastics in India. All of our sites in polyester are zero waste sites, and all petrochemical sites are zero discharge sites now. We have grown at the arid region of Jamnagar, where we operate 1.3 million barrels of refining capacity, over 500,000 mango trees, and over 3 million trees in total to change the region's average rainfall by over 20 millimeters a year. And as a foundation, we support a very large hospital, a big healthcare initiative, which was inaugurated by our Prime Minister earlier this year, a few weeks ago, an education institution with running India's topmost international school in the heart of Mumbai city and focused on the rural environment. We believe that responsible care and a sustainable world is the way to go as we look at health, safety, and environment. So as we are led by a young chairman in Mr. Mukesh Ambani, we believe that we think global but act local and pursue those opportunities as we create the broadband infrastructure and reinvest in the hydrocarbons chain to make sure that we do societal good first, consumers good next, employees then, and shareholders finally, as we ride on the threshold of an Indian growth story. As I end, I would like to very politely say, our founder chairman used to always say, our dreams have to be bigger, our commitments deeper, our efforts greater, and our ambitions higher. This is the story that I have shared with you as we ride the Indian cycle and emerge on the global map to take care of the future opportunities of the world. Thank you, ladies.